Bro, if you clicked on this video, first of all, you're weird. Second of all, I'm not weird because I got this idea when I was in the toilet. And to be honest, I don't even know why I created this. It was just, I don't know, it was a fun challenge at least. So this is basically a peeing ability. Also, if you want this model, it's on my Patreon, first link below. And also there's like a version that is super buggy, so you can basically fly with this. It will be on the screen right now. This is not how it's supposed to work. I have pissing abilities. I can piss into the sky. Yeah, it's like super broken. And if for some reason you want to make this yourself, which to be honest, I don't know if this is like breaking Roblox's TOS. Even though I don't have the body part or anything like that, I don't know if it's like breaking anything, especially with this animation. Maybe if you change the colors to like I don't know, blue or something, then it might be okay because it's like water or something like that. Or maybe like add a bottle tool. But if it's not breaking the Roblox's TOS, because I found a few games where you can actually do this, and it was even more aggressive than here. So I don't know, if they didn't get banned, I don't think I should either. So let's see the script how I made this. So first of all, I added this like splash, which I'm just gonna copy inside the workspace. This is just a tiny part. It's currently not enabled, but it's basically this particle effect. I'll delete that for now. And also I have a model which is called puddle. Inside of this we have a part which is just a transparent part with a decal. I have coin collide set to false, so you don't really like, you can just go over it. And also anchor to true. And one other thing, I don't think this even needed to be a model. For some reason I just made it a model. It's probably more complicated that way. So if you know your way around the scripting, I suggest you not to make that a model, but just a normal part. Then we have a pseudo-script service, which is called splash giver. And this is just for giving the splash. So when the player joins, let's say this is the player, when you join, it gives you this splash part. And then we have the local script here, which I'm gonna show in a minute. And inside of this splash giver script, basically how this works: when the player joins, we get the character added, because we need a character for it. Then we clone the splash, which we got up here. And I don't know why the puddle is here, we don't need that. It's not, all the things are on the client side, so we don't need it inside the server script. Then we get the torso, or lower torso, or upper torso. So this system also works for the R6 and R15, except for the animation. So I have the animation here, and this is an R6 animation. I made it R6 because it's just literally easier to make. If you want, you can like exchange it with your own or something. And then we see if the torso is actually a thing. One thing I actually forgot to mention, this needs to have a manual weld. So basically how I did that is just put the part here, paste it at the original location inside of the rig, or you can put it like anywhere else. You can even make it maybe like, okay, this is getting kind of gory, so let's just say spitting. So you can maybe make like a spit simulator or something weird and freaky like that. But basically paste it inside, and then I have this plugin which is like just called welding. I don't know, I'm not sure what the original name is, maybe it is just welding. So I selected the splash and the torso and just clicked on the instant weld, and that creates a manual weld. And then inside of the script we just change it so we get the manual weld. Oh, and before that we actually set the C frame to be like in front of the player, and also here I just put the actual rotation, but I don't think it even worked really, so you can probably get rid of all this and it should probably still work. Then here we set the part 0 of the manual weld to the clone, which is the splash, and part 1 to the torso. And that's really it from the server script. Now inside the local script, which is kind of huge, not gonna lie, we have user input service, twin service. Like, I'm not going to read all of this, I'll just shortly go by it. You can pause the video and copy it yourself or read it, whatever. Then we get the player thing, so character and humanoid. We get the particle that is inside the character. Then we get the water sound, which is inside of this local script. so I don't think even other players should be able to hear this. Then we get the puddle template, because we obviously need to spawn these. The animation, make it a track. If you don't know how to do that, you just get the humanoid, which is, I put short hum for humanoid, and then do colon load animation and put the animation variable inside of this. Then we get the key to hold, which is E. Then I have some other things such as is holding, so at the start it's set to false, active puddles, empty table because there are no puddles when we just start the game, and then last puddle position, which is also nil because there is no puddle when you spawn. Then we have puddle distance threshold and puddle radius, which these are just things. Where I put this? Oh, okay, here. So this is just for some math, that if the player is like close to a puddle and with this puddle radius, so basically if it's close to a puddle, it doesn't spawn them on top of each other or something like that. You can maybe make these numbers a bit bigger if you want. Here we have the function that actually spawns the puddle. So here we get the position from hit position, which I'll just explain that later. But basically we need the position, then get the nearby puddles, which is like workspace, and then inside the workspace we can find all the puddles from earlier. And then if it is a model, which you would need to change this if you decide to not make it a model but just a part, and if the name is puddle, then we get its primary part position, and then just the magnitude, and then if it's smaller than puddle radius we return false, if not we return true. Here we have start particles, and I probably shouldn't explain you it this way, but rather start from the actual user input. So here we have the user input service, and then input began. Here you put input, and this game process is, for example, if you had the chat open or something like that where you can type. So if you're typing in chat and you press E key, you don't turn this on because you're typing. So if not, the game processed and input is equal to the key to hold, which is E. Then we set it to true and start this function, which is this large one up here. Here we enable the particles, play the animations and the sounds, then we wait a bit, get the offset, so we get the look vector from the humanoid root part, which is basically the thing that's in front of you, so in the direction that you are looking in. And here we just put puddle position with the front offset. I just made it so it's like two studs in front, because it would be kind of weird if it's right underneath you. It will look like you pissed yourself or something like that. And I also use the Raycast for this. I won't really explain all of this, you can just copy it. I might make a video on Raycasting. Basically what Raycasting is, in short, if you fire a Raycast or create it, then the thing that's in front of you, so let's say we have a part right here, and if you have a Raycast made, then it will just make a invisible ray, which you can see on the client or the server side, and then it can detect anything that's in front or above you or anywhere else around. Then we get the Raycast result, and then the thing we hit will be the floor. But why am I using the Raycast is basically because in the earlier version of the script I made it so... Oh, okay, that's not what I meant to do. So I made it in the earlier version that, for example, if you were here and then you started doing the action, the puddle would like spawn up here, and then doesn't really make sense because it's just staying in the air, which is like stupid, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So I use Raycast to detect the nearest floor. So if you're on top of this, it should be like maybe down here. And I actually didn't test that, so it could be time to actually test that to see if it actually works, because I don't know. And those were some terrible stairs. I don't know why I made it like that. Bro, these are not stairs. I can even jump this, so that's really unnecessary. Okay, so I'm not sure where the Raycast is going. Okay, so maybe it doesn't even... I legit forgot how... Oh, it does work. It might be buggy because of the base plate, but I'm not sure and I don't really care. Moving on from that, if we can spawn the puddle, then return the true. Then we get the puddle template, just set the primary part C frame to the hit position, which is basically the thing in front of us, or actually the floor in front of us. Then we do table.insert. If you don't know how this function works, the table we have up here, active puddles, here like insert things inside of it. So The first instance here will always be a table, and then the second one will be the thing we're inserting. Then I just made simple twinning so we can twin the size of the puddle. And then delay this, which I could have probably used debris, but I just used destroy, and I will maybe explain a debris in one of the tutorials. And then here we put last puddle position to hit position. And the reason we do that is because I have on play remove function, which we get from the run service.heartbeat. So this is basically, this is similar to while loop, but it's just better. So it's checking like every frame if the player has moved, and then if the player has moved and there is like enough room for another puddle, it will create it. Down here I just have stop particles, so this is basically the start of this script. So all of this, but just in the reverse. So it stops the water sound, the animation, and the particles, and we trigger it by user input service input ended, and we use the same things as the input began, but instead of checking all this we do input.keycode, and if the keycode is the same, so is holding is true, then we set it to the false and stop the particle. And then here I also have the small function for the property change signal with the position inside, so if the player changes the position, it knows to create a new puddle if possible. So that's basically it from this video. I don't know really why you watched this, if you watched it until the end, but thank you I guess. And I don't really recommend using this because it might be breaking Roblox TOS, but whatever.